Okay. Blessings, everybody. Welcome to the womb room. Mary Costello. I haven't been here in a while because we have been very, very busy. And as you can see, we got an upgrade to the womb room. Look at all my beautiful sparkly lights. I think that signifies the upgrade to the planetary or the universal womb also. Or, I'm just imitating the universal womb and all the light and the magic and the amazing kind of sparkly amazingness that's coming through for everybody. So, um, we are just feathering our nest and making things as we want them, as we like them. So I am just so honored and excited and overawed also to have my gorgeous friend Brandi here. And Brandi is from Hawaii. She's living in Hawaii. And that has always felt very significant to me. When I found Brandi, or when Brandi found me, when we found each other, I don't know, I just felt like something had awoken in Hawaii and I was very excited. I was very excited. And I felt as soon as I met Brandy, I felt, that presence of the golden mother dragon, which is very, very exciting to feel what that means. And we will get into what that means and what that feels and looks like.
That was for
Brand,
me too. When we
yeah,
met, when I first heard you, I
yeah.
knew that you were the first. I'm not knocking what anybody else is doing
Yeah.
but I felt the mother through you. And I
Wow.
knew that what was coming through you was accurate.
Wow.
It was
Thank
truth.
you. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. I felt you were, it's like a playmate, a golden eternal playmate had just woken up and it was somehow the whole of Hawaii. I was like, oh my God, we could do anything. This lady, oh my gosh, what can she do? That's what I felt like. I was just so excited. I can feel that power, and the potential. Okay, so Brandy, Sacred Dragon Mother, the Mother's Oracle, and that's important, the Mother's Oracle, because we've heard the words oracle so many times.
Yeah.
What's that about? Without
Oh,
the prefix of mother.
yeah,
Like
right.
it's kind of like oracle for sale. No, thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, okay. So Brandy has that nailed. The mother's oracle. Don't forget it. And Brandy is epic. We just had a beautiful clearing creative moment together right now
A
where she talked.
burning moment. It
Yeah.
was beautiful.
Yeah, Brandy talked us through the whole thing and it is incredible. But for, to work with Brandy, Brandy does individual and group soul integration with the deepest alchemy. No stone will be left unturned. Okay, so I want to start with welcoming you, Brandy. You're very welcome into the womb room.
I'm so excited to be here. Like this.
It's,
Oh, yes. It's like being home, being here with you.
yeah, I made it nice for you. Got the candles out. It just feels like this celebration moment, and it just feels like we're always cooking something. And it just came to me today that, um, the kitchen's getting busier, and I don't just mean
It,
because it is a kitchen,
we
but
just
the
we just went through it. They said we're just going to give you a taste.
it's like things are going to get busy. So just make it how you like it. That's where I keep it. Just make it the way you like it and settle in, know, you know. As this is, and we're coming together and we're finding each other, and that just amplifies everything. Okay, what I would love to ask you first is when you use the words the mother's oracle, explain that, or tell me why you use those words as opposed to just the oracle, oracle.
Well, yesterday when you had asked me or mentioned that I needed to, tell you my bio, I had never thought
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
And I've thought about it in because I have my social medias and all that, but I knew something had changed, so I needed to redefine what it is that I identify with. And when
Mm,
I was doing this, Gaia calls me a sacred dragon mother. And I was like, well, if I want to be known, I'll be known by what Gaia knows me as, what
mm,
Mother Earth knows me as. And then I asked the mother, well, because I was getting too much in my head, right? And I was coming
mm,
to a blank. So I just surrendered into my heart and I asked her. And she told me I'm her oracle.
mm,
And I was like, okay, but it resonated so true and so deeply. And I said, okay, then I'm the mother's oracle. And for me, that just represents my clear connection to her and to the truth,
mm.
um, to her truth, to the truth of her.
Yeah.
Um, being of her, that's a whole other thing.
Well, let's tell me
But
about that bit. So the oracle is
um,
so you interpret or you feel and you speak her for her, but
yeah,
being of her, that's the work, right? Well, it's
well,
play
yeah,
now, but it has been serious work for you. Yeah.
it has because I am a womb, what I would call a womb dragon. I'm
Mm,
a creator, creatrix, dragon. I'm from the beginning, and
yeah.
what I've
But
learned about the beginning is it exists before everything in all of creation. I was a part of her womb as how do I describe this? So what I've seen is I was taken back to the beginning, and what people call the void
mm,
actually is not a void at all. It's actually just the beginning, and it's not perceived by many. But when you're in this place, um, it felt like home to me. And
mm,
I was just aware of all these beautiful, rich rainbow-like colors that were cascading everywhere. And when I think about what people may be perceiving as the void or the black womb or whatever, they're just they don't their perception is not picking up on the colors. It's like looking at a raven, right? You think the raven is black. The raven is not black. That is
mm,
just when you look at the raven, its feathers are actually rainbowed. And that's what
yeah.
it reminds me of, is because it's an illusion.
Mm,
It's an illusion, this thinking this is a black woman. But I think the eternal beginning needed to be um, veiled um,
mm-hmm,
until we got to the place where it is that we are now, um, because this universe is returning to wholeness. And
mm,
so we are moving out of duality and polarity. And that's what the true ascension is about, is this whole
mm,
universe is ascending. It's
yeah.
not just the planet. Um, but the human beings and Gaia played a key role in this because it's
Mhm.
through Gaia, through humanity, that it returns to wholeness.
Yeah. I want to speak, everything when Brandy speaks, y- she is, and again, no mark upon anyone else, obviously, but there is everything she says. Basically, I would say it myself, as in, I would allow you to speak for me, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. If I
Yeah,
called in sick, I'd be like, Brandy can do it. So I just want
right.
to say that, yeah, just
I
to
feel the
prefix.
same way about
Yeah,
you.
so we can call in sick, Brandy. That's
Yeah,
what we've learned.
right.
Okay. If we need
I
a week
love it.
off, okay. So I want to say that because that's important because whatever Brandy says, just presume I agree. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not someone I'm not going to be questioning you, asking you to prove yourself. I do not insult golden mother dragons like that. If it's said, it is said. We are talking about the word, okay? We're talking
Hey,
about,
you know what the
yeah.
mother told me though when I was afraid to start speaking her truth? She told
Yeah.
me this. She told me a belief is just something you have to be convinced of or convince yourself
Mhm.
of.
Yeah.
Divine knowing is activated when words of truth are spoken. And
Mhm.
whether somebody that divine knowing is instantly activated or is activated at a further date according to a person's individual unfolding in this ascension, because everybody's ascending. This is not,
Mhm.
it's not just one or the other. Everything and everybody in this universe will be ascending, returning to wholeness. And
Mhm.
so when the truth is spoken, it's there. You can't undo it.
Mhm. You can try.
Can't undo it. You can
You can
fight
run.
it, but you're not going to win.
You can run, but you can't hide.
She's going to
So
lull you into it.
there's such peace in that, isn't there? Like I've
It's
said
like a
it, so
toddler
it's
trying to run away from their
yeah.
mom, right? They're like, you're not getting anywhere. Just pick you up, place you
Yeah.
back where you're supposed to be.
Oh, it's gorgeous because it's like it's the peace that that brings us to,
Yeah,
and the where that places. So I want to speak. So I want to speak to the word golden mother dragon, like Brandy said, the birthing dragon, the consciousness of the beginning, which is a womb consciousness. I
as
want to
well.
speak, yeah. So we have this bigness and this surrounding presence. So we see and we don't doubt our perceptions. But of course we bounce off each other, we bounce off everyone else to find, to bring ourselves to increasing clarity. But
Yeah.
there's a certainty and there's a power with that, which is so gorgeous to me. I love it. And when we speak, it's exciting for me. It's like a big horse running beside another big horse, just having fun. But I do know, and we've talked about this, how the exuberance of women, the laughter of women, I've talked about this with another friend, the wild laughter of women, or just the presence of, no, I've said it. I'm not here to be convinced. And it's not abrasion. It's so confusing to me how I get questioned or how sometimes, not so much now, but sometimes asked to correspond with somebody's projection or what they would like me to be. And
Mm.
I just want it to be felt by our presence here in
Well,
togetherness
well,
beside each other. Mm.
yeah. Well, when we are dealing with the matters of the mother, right?
Mm.
Of God, of
Yeah.
Creator,
Mm-hmm.
because people have been holding on to that false Father God
Mm-hmm.
thing, right? It's very hard for them to understand that the mother has a womb, and their
Mm.
projections come in because being, and I call them the wounds of insignificance, and they are the original wounds of separation from our mother, from our source, from God.
Mm.
um and what happens is that to be wrong is like they are wrong because there is a belief, and remember, a belief is only something you're convinced of or have to convince yourself of, is a running
Mm-hmm.
program of the black womb matrix, but we can talk about that another time. um
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm.
when you come up against it, it's like, well, it pokes at that wound, one of the original wounds of insignificance, that says I'm bad, that says
Mm.
that I'm not good, that says that, right? So when you're in those conditioning states of the good and bad and the right or wrong, and
Mm.
you project like, no, I'm right, right? You
Yeah.
should be doing boom, 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 because these are the projections and the judgments that are carried, that
Mm.
these beings are carrying within themselves,
Mm.
right? And then they
Yeah.
want to hand it on to you because
Mm-hmm.
this is the whip that they gave
Mm.
themselves. And how dare
Yeah.
you be free? How dare you be free
Yes.
enough to be, and open enough to stand in your truth, right? And
Mm-hmm.
when it comes
Yeah.
to the matters of God, it is big because
Mm-hmm.
of all of the programming and all of the
Well,
trauma
yeah.
we've experienced in separation from our
So
source.
you came up with a beautiful, I think it was a TikTok video, and it was so simple, but it was very, very powerful. You just spoke the words, God has a womb. God has a
Yeah.
womb. I want to speak of the denial of the vessel, the denial of the mother of God or the mother of the son, the mother of creation, and the desecration that that has caused. Like you said, people just being invisible, or her being invisible, them being so out of tune for all the different reasons because of occupational consciousness that just, there was was well done, well thought out, because they took their imitation, they imitated everything the mother did and brought it to a way, against her, a
Well, how do you get
weaponization.
people to believe lies as you sprinkle a little truth in there, right?
Mm.
And then you
So let's go,
convince them
yeah.
that, yeah.
Let's go to the beginning, right? Because Brandy has a consciousness of the beginning. She has a presence at the beginning. When I speak of consciousness, there is no interruption in consciousness. There's no higher consciousness, subconscious, lower consciousness. It is one stream of consciousness carried on the eternal waters of our mother's birthing water. So when I say Brandy has a consciousness, no, Brandy has a presence. Her breath is at the beginning. Her breath is at the because our breath is our consciousness. So her breath goes all the way from the beginning. That means her word goes all the way from the beginning. So I want to hear from you, Brandy. What is the beginning of our creation? How, as you know it in the way you want to speak of it today, what is our beginning?
Well, our beginning is her, right?
Mm,
So our beginning is her. She is our beginning. As a dragon of her womb, um, as a birther of her realities, a birther of what she wants to experience, and the fabric of all creation. That I mean, that's basically it's taken me years to come to the understanding that I am now, and I still don't fully understand what
mm,
it completely means, but I know I feel it, and I know who I am now.
mm.
But the full totality of it, I haven't integrated that fully yet. Um,
Yeah, we will get there between us
we
and
are
no
getting there.
doubt.
We're totally getting
So this is,
there.
yeah, for me, I will just chime in on that. The beginning is the first beginning is sound, the first emanation. And I don't usually say the word God, right? But the first emanation of creator is sound. And I
Yeah.
know
Well,
that to
she is
be the
sound.
mother. Yeah,
You know,
she
she's
is
not, it's
sound.
not an emanation of her. She is it. She is
Yeah,
sound. Yeah.
yes, she is. And it's the furthering, it's the expansion of her sound that creates all, as you said,
Everything.
everything that holds, everything that is matter, everything that is, right?
Because
If that's what you'd
frequency
say?
holds. Yes, frequency
Yes.
holds.
Yeah.
Frequency is the pattern. She is the
Yes.
pattern of the entirety of all creation, right? So
Ooh.
yeah, so frequency is the pattern. She's the template, she's the pattern, she's the blueprint of all creation. And we carry her within every particle of our beingness.
So every single matter, every piece of matter, everything that has been opened and expanded and formed is the mother expanded.
Yes, expanded. Yes, and yes, exactly that. And so what I've seen is this, because I know that people have talked about father and mother God,
Mm-hmm.
mother father God, and I never resonated with that. I
Yeah, let's tear
um
that one apart because I just
yeah.
want to just interject just to get the like to kind of give it a kick in the arse, which I like to do sometimes. Let's really
Well,
look at that because it's like we've been told this like and I see it and this is part of the desecration which drives me crazy. The denial of
mhm,
the vessel, the denial of the mother is the denial of accountability, is saying this is our free will playground, our free will
mhm.
circus, and we will disobey the pattern, we will disobey the pattern that is holding us, our holding pattern, and we will play in our own little ways of betrayal. And there are energies working through people, keeping them in consistent states of betrayal. And I feel that. And that's because of
Well,
I'm
and
here
that's
to
because
feel
of
it.
what, yeah,
Yeah.
because we wanted
So,
to
yeah.
experience that duality
Mm,
and polarity here. So that's all part
Yeah.
of the duality and polarity, the separation from our source.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted that because that aided in the expansion of the totality of the whole of her.
Okay.
So, yeah,
So
so that was
what I'm
very
seeing,
strategic.
yeah,
But
as
now we're
the
breaking that,
lie,
right?
we are.
Yeah.
I just want to speak to the lie that, let's say, is seems to me the false holding pattern, which is keeping people out of jumping into the mothership, which is where they already are anyway, which is ridiculous. So they're holding themselves in lies and they're being held by the mother as they're holding themselves. Anyway, I'm seeing
Well,
this kind of like, sorry, this father,
no, go ahead.
this kind of false father, like super control. And then beneath, we have kind of sons of free will in pure entitlement. And we have daughters of enslavement to varying degrees. Okay, take it away, Brandy.
Well, I think we always have to start at the beginning, right? And so at the beginning
Mm,
of this universe was created specifically for shadow and light, right?
yeah.
And so the universe was created to hold duality and polarity. This is the
Mm,
whole universe, not just the earth, you know, which is very important to understand. And right
mm-hmm,
now we're just undoing all the patterns of that. But where people are, I feel like, are getting the most stuck is that the wounds, like I said before, the wounds of insignificance are
mm.
creating the holding pattern, right?
Okay. The
Because
false
I
holding
was
pattern.
taught this, I
Mm-hmm,
believe this, right? And remember, a belief
mm-hmm,
is something you have to be convinced of or convince
mm-hmm,
yourself of. It's a belief, it's
mm-hmm,
not the truth. Divine knowing activates from the heart within you. It's not something you
mm-hmm.
have to force or effort your way to. You just have to be willing to let go of all the programs and the patterns of the untruth.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the false father God thing, right? That whole
Mm-hmm.
template was created for the purpose. It's like an absence, not it because it's just a role that's been being
Mm-hmm.
played. It's just a role. But let's surrender that role into the truth. It was created to enslave us and manipulate us, and that's the truth of it. And okay, let's move past that. What is the truth? If everything in this
Mm-hmm.
reality has been set up to make you, to give you guilt and shame about being just a human being, that's the big thing right there, is that
Mm-hmm.
they've convinced us there's something wrong with being a human being, and that
Mm-hmm.
we need this thing outside of ourselves to govern us because we're not capable, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, and it's, where am I going with this?
Yes, it's a
Yeah,
supplanting, or
yeah,
it's a overriding of what
hmm,
really the dynamics or the architecture of true authority within. It's like an overriding, and it is hollow because it's the father that. Now we're going to get into the masculine because this obviously that is very dear to all of us to clarify the masculine, and we have words on that. But the idea of the father, the hollow father, the father outside of light, the father that could never be known, it kept us in that
that
constant
we
state
gave
of
all of our
hunger.
power to. Yeah,
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 hunger
starving. Yeah.
and being forsaken and
Hmm.
climbing, uh, often on top of each other to get to him, he who didn't exist.
Because
So,
only the
yeah,
anointed are special, and
yeah.
like, yeah, it's
Mm.
that
And then
just makes
every,
me.
every religion, well, that I can think of right now, is based off of the hierarchy, the pyramid structure of a father God.
Mhm.
Um, that's maybe why most religions don't let women speak. Okay, because
Oh
I don't
yeah,
want the voice of God to actually be heard, which, as we said, the mother is the sound of God, the sound of
exactly.
creation. Yeah, so that's why they silence the women in religion. Okay.
Hmm.
Mm,
Well, it was very strategic. Everything that was done was
mm,
very strategic, and it was to put especially women in a place of self hate and denial
hmm.
of their angelic humanity. And yeah,
Taking the womb out of God, taking the
Mhm.
like the lie that there is no light function or intelligence to the womb is such an insult and added, to the injury of what we have suffered with having a womb in this
Well, they
in
had
a
to do
world.
it though to take control,
Mm,
right? So the whole
yeah.
structure of them creating the black womb matrix was they
Hmm.
needed us to denounce our power. So they convinced
Hmm.
us that we weren't capable of utilizing our power correctly because there was something wrong with us, something wrong with being
Hmm.
human. There's so many people, especially in an advanced, so quote unquote spiritual people, that are
Mm,
still stuck in that trap. They're still
yeah.
stuck in that those wounds of insignificance where they think that there's something wrong with their humanity,
Hmm.
and reclaiming ourselves is reclaiming how special and how vitally important humanity is to the totality
Mm,
of the universe. And so the only
yeah.
way through any of that is through that is understanding that our mother made us. We are specially
Hmm.
made for this time of ascension, because when the human being was made in this universe, when the human being was made in this universe, it was made for this time to bring us back into wholeness. Everything to for this ascension, it's encoded within our DNA.
Hmm.
The way home has been encoded in the human being's DNA specifically,
Hmm.
right? And that's why we've been having all this galactic help from all these beings all over. We got spirit teams that are from here, boom, boom, here. Now they're showing up and all that stuff. The reason that that's happening is because there's no ascending this universe without the human. They're not
Yeah.
coming to save us. They're not
Hmm.
coming to save us. We're the fucking key. This Our
Yeah.
humanity is the key to the return of wholeness, because humanity is capable and encoded within our DNA the mother's true song. It couldn't be any other
Woo!
way.
Hallelujah! It's been said. Free at last. Free
Yeah,
at
free at last.
last.
Like, I
Yes.
mean, you just
Yes.
gotta, at one point,
Let
you
her
just gotta say,
sing in your body. Yes.
you just gotta say, well, if all this programming, all this, the governments, everything, the
Mm,
poisoning of our bodies, there's got to be a reason for it. Why is it?
mm.
Why is it so much? It's been such a war on just being a human being. Well, because we
Yes.
must be mighty fucking important. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. We
And
must be
see,
mighty
yeah.
important for them to try to just use
Mm,
every means necessary to keep us down, right? And
yes.
and what's funny about
Mm,
this is that the shadow and the darkness that is doing all this stuff is just
mm.
been playing a role, and wants to be free also, and wants to be free
Yeah.
also. So,
It's I feel like the shadow holds a space that keeps inviting us to fill, and we
mhm.
and we look at it and it's so insulting and provoking, and it's because we'll rise up and say, not on my watch, and we'll take our big golden paws over there and gobble it up, and that's what we do. That's what we're
Let me
actually
tell you,
doing.
when I've dealt with very what people would call demons, or
Mm,
very dark forces or dark entities and stuff like that, a lot of them are resistant to returning to the light, because I'm a portal. I can take them
yeah.
straight to mother, and they can return to the light. And some of them fight it, but man, the ones that use the portal, the ones that go straight into my heart and to the mother, they are so
Mm,
relieved. There's like this
yeah.
moment of impact with the return to her light, the return
Mm,
to the truth, which is the truth of them. And
mm,
it's this massive relief that just it moves through this whole universe.
yeah. Mm.
And
And
so,
I want to mention that when Brandy talks about that, and I want to specify because we know this, but there are so many people who do not know the way and who are continually looking for the way. So, and please know when I speak, it's said, and the same with Brandy. So, what we are saying is that we, us two right here, and I cannot say who or who not, but there is a functionality of the womb that is aligned directly with the cosmic womb that can offer and is offering right now, as you are sleeping, as we are sleeping. It is changing the fabric of your reality, it is changing the fabric of the body, it is changing the fabric of everything by the consciousness of our womb connected to the cosmic womb.
Yes.
That is how it is done, right? So for it is very hard for us to look at people going the wrong way, for people not being able to hear us, not considering maybe those ladies over there know have something, know the way. And I understand that, and we were talking about that. We just have to let people try it all out. But we are here now offering our voices, which is
Well,
such a
she said
powerful
they're
thing.
ready, right? I keep
Yes.
that's I asked because I didn't wake up to my true dragon nature until like 2 years ago. And that's when I
Hmm.
first, and maybe we could talk about that a little, but um
Yeah.
I asked when it was happening, I said, why did it take so long? And they said, because the earth wasn't at a frequency enough to hold your truth. And
Mm,
so when the earth hit that frequency 2 years ago, then that's when I was able
yeah.
to begin to understand and embody my truth, because that
Yeah.
frequency was so much higher than what the earth was at, that it took a
Hmm.
while. And now that we are where we are, I just got that information again. Why? Because I've spent like 4 years in deep alchemy, in deep healing, because
Mm,
I have this beautiful relationship with Gaia, and my
mm,
mind and her bodies are symbiotic, and I
yeah.
help her. I I do a lot of
Mm,
clearing of the densities and the
yeah.
programmings of our
Wow.
human consciousness. And so,
Yeah.
yeah,
I want
so
to I want to
it's
speak a
time.
word. Yeah, it is time, and I want to speak a
It's time.
word because I woke up roaring, right? As I woke up roaring, like, how the heck did this happen to me? How did I get enslaved? How was, like fire and claws? And I am calming. I am calming. I'm getting better. But, I've been told it's time, and that's wonderful. That's no problem. But I do want to say so much gratitude because I do know there were people attuned to us or had enough memory of us that were searching for us and that found a way to like burn the way or raise the frequency or whatever was done while I was fast asleep, and when we were in stasis, we were
Yeah.
held in stasis by against, it true force. So I just want to say, even though I come out roaring, it's just it has to be this way. But I do really honor the people who brought it, who found us, also who found us
We couldn't be, we
or
couldn't have
allowed us to be
without all
found.
the work.
Mm,
Everything that's happened before us has led to where it is that we are. That's what expansion
yeah,
is all about. Like,
yeah,
we're all in this together, and I think that's the biggest part
yeah.
that we're missing, is that there's so much competition and comparison, and
Hmm.
those are all part of the wounds of insignificance that are only a part of our separation from our source. Because
Yeah,
to truly know thyself is to truly know yourself through her eyes. And for her
yeah.
to be fully known, it is through ours. And so this is a
Mm,
simultaneous awakening, a simultaneous remembering. And we need that. There's no understanding
mhm.
who we really are without her. It's an
Yes.
impossibility.
Mm. Oh, so
But
much. And her eye of wholeness, it just dissolves, so much
all of it.
fractures within us, or so much fractures placed upon us, and her eye just dissolves everything but our innocence, who we truly are in wholeness, the way she sees us. And then we have these eyes too, and so everything we look at, we see the wholeness, and we also see the irritant that needs to go, in ourselves,
It
with each
is.
other,
It's
with everything. We have those eyes of the mother. It's not that we're just grumpy women. It's not that we're just constantly dissatisfied. We have the eyes of wholeness and we're like constantly, just like weaving, to get
Yeah,
to
it's like a
wholeness again.
refinement process. It's like,
Mm,
okay, yeah, this doesn't work. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Get rid of
mm-hmm,
that, get rid of that. And through my journey, that is what I've over and over again since the moment that I said to her when I didn't know even if I believed in
mm,
God. I was 28 years old. I got on my hands and knees and was like, you know what? This ain't right. There's something
mm,
wrong with this world. I need to know the truth. And if you open the door, I'll walk through every one. And ever since I
yeah,
said that, you know how many times I've had to let go of what I thought was real? Because
yeah,
it's like each layer of your consciousness, you'll believe a truth. You'll think that that's the truth.
mm-hmm,
And then you're going to have to release that truth to
mm-hmm,
embody a truer truth. And then release
yeah,
that truth to embody a truer truth. And then you keep
mm,
going through this refinement process till you get to the core. And the core is
yeah,
her. She's the
yeah.
core.
And it's just
And that is
this
the truth.
sweet little sound that just pings, and you know you've got there,
And
and
there's
we've
only
got
one
each
truth.
other, and
There's
we
only
see,
one truth.
yeah.
There's
I want
only
to
one.
ask you about, okay, yes, you're right. I want to ask you about the masculine, because we had just had a moment. This is so important to get this said. How what we know is the birth of the masculine. This is a big statement. What we know to be the birth of the masculine, which we would call the father, which we might call the son. I don't know. Let's figure out the words between ourselves. The birth of the masculine. So we are saying, Brandy and I, in togetherness, as big as we are, and as brave and bold as we are, and beautiful and golden, we are saying that there is the creation came from a mother's body, from the womb, from the expression of her sound, from the extrapolation of the sound. So in that we are cohesed, in that we are to be one breath, one body. It's beautiful. So that's that. In that, where did the let's talk about the birth of the masculine within the womb. Nothing happens outside of the womb. Nothing
Nothing happens
happens
outside of the womb.
yeah,
Everything is
to
held within the
pretend so
womb.
is a desecration. Yeah. So let's talk about
Yeah.
how the masculine was born, how she born the
I'm
masculine,
going to
and
tell you
why. Why?
from a first person perspective because I seen
Mm-hmm.
it and I was there
Yeah,
because I
please
was a
do.
part of the birthing of him
Ooh.
or what we would call him,
Yeah.
right? So I had well when we started working together I had this huge like releasing of the density of the womb and the black womb
Mm-hmm.
creatrix thing that all fell apart and all of that. And then I'd had an experience where because I was very for a long time all the teachings of Father God and stuff, that stuff
Mm-hmm.
just never resonated with me. I never felt a masculine aspect to myself. I never it just wasn't there for me. And then I had this ecstatic birthing experience where I had cleared a bunch of simultaneously cleared all this trauma around the masculine energy and the divine masculine energy. I'll put it like that. I had cleared all this energy around masculinity, that masculine electric energy, because that's what exactly what it feels, just electric, right? It's light.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I ecstatically birthed my own masculine through me again, the true masculine aspect of myself. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I had never felt it before, but I felt it then, and I knew what it
Yeah.
was. And and then a couple of days later, I had had this experience um, where I was taken back to the beginning, and I watched it like this: like she had the intention, basically, to know herself. She had the intention to know herself,
Yes.
and in that intention, the womb was created, which is what I'm a part of. And in service
Mm.
to her, the masculine was born through her.
Yeah.
And this is the key part, in service to her. And
Mm-hmm.
that is the true devotional.
Yeah.
The masculine energy is the devotion, completely devoted to her will,
Yes.
completely devoted to her will,
Mm-hmm.
completely. And what I experienced was from from, let's say, from her perspective, when this
Mhm.
energy was birthed through her and she's
Mhm.
seen it was just like when you see a newborn baby, like it's
Yeah.
nothing but absolute complete love. You see them in
Mm.
their wholeness, right? um
Mm.
and simultaneously his perspective, how to say his, but the masculine's perspective, right? um was like this beholder of her, like the
Yeah.
comprehension of her. Like, so the divine masculine is the comprehension of her in her totality. And so to me, we can say that we're both divine feminine and divine masculine, right?
Mm.
But really, that just in her wholeness, there's no separation at all. But she
Yeah.
is the mother. There's,
Mhm.
the masculine energy was birthed through her. Um,
Yeah.
and so we can call that son or father. And maybe
Yeah.
that's why some people have weird relationships with their sons.
Yeah. It's.
Because that the comprehension of that is not fully available to us, to what that
Mm.
actually means, right?
Mhm.
um and so the energy can be confused with other things, because we're been searching for it. It's the true divine masculine has been so out of range. So when I
Mm.
seen this, I mean, I was in tears. It was the most beautiful thing, because the
Yeah.
reverence the masculine has for the mother, the reverent, like
Mm.
this unmovable, unshakable, just
Mm.
beholding her in her totality. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I and I can see this is what everybody's been chasing.
Yeah.
Everybody's
It
been
is.
chasing. Yeah, and
Mhm.
because being cut off from the our truth
Mm.
is being cut off from our divine masculine aspect of
Yeah.
ourselves. And
Mhm.
and yeah, and that's why I
Mm.
truly believe the divine union, that, and because it's going to be a
Mhm.
bold statement too, the divine
Mm.
union is not the divine union of the divine masculine feminine. The divine union is of
Mm.
mother and child.
Yeah. I feel that
That's the
too.
return to wholeness.
Mhm.
That's
I
the
feel
return to
that too.
wholeness.
I feel that too.
And that's why it
Mhm.
hasn't worked, or we would be much further in this
Mhm.
ascension, because
Yeah. Mhm. I feel that
there's,
too. The union, like for sure, people can have sacred togetherness and and walk
yeah.
beside each other, and that is a beautiful thing if you find someone who wants to walk beside you and who loves you and you love them. But
But who
I
are we
believe
without the mother? Who
I
are we
agree with
without the
you.
truth?
The divine union, the union, the breath of life is between mother and child. And I want to speak to that just a second, what you said. And I agree with all of that about the beholder and the beauty of being beheld. And I want to just speak from my personal experience. I have always found it, I've gotten a bit better because of all the different people I've met in the last few years, but I barely spoke and I cannot define myself. I cannot explain myself. I cannot make sense of myself. Well, I don't try. It's only other people who, ask me to, which I always say no anyway. But, it's like I haven't had an inner masculine to be able to behold myself. Now that has been corrected because, like what you have said, we have both done this, birthed the I had to actually rebirth because
Mm-hmm.
it was yeah, I had to kind of it was a rebirth situation for me because there was a lot of correction to take place. But in that joy and what I see it as, it's like I see the mother as this vast everything, and I see the masculine, and this is divine masculine. This is golden masculine, whether we call it son or father or both, or what I call it is the infinite channel of father and son. And they're not to be separate. And this is how they
Yeah.
separated, how they sacrificed all the sons was placing the father outside of the womb, which was no. So
Mm-hmm.
this union of the masculine can only have an infinite channel inside the understanding of the womb and inside
Yes.
electrical devotion to the mother, electrical devotion.
Electrical devotion.
Yeah, he will
Yes.
come into wholeness. And I see his life, her giving him life as this beautiful, massive tree. And he reaches every part of her and he sees everything with so much love. And it's her joy to show him, and it's his joy to like translate
To
her
keep it
almost.
moving. To keep
Yeah,
it's his joy to keep it moving. Her will be
yeah,
done. Her will be done.
yes,
And
yes,
he is the force that goes forward in service to her will. He is the
yeah.
force that goes forth into service of her will. And that's
Mm,
why the masculine is on this earth has been so out of alignment, is because
yeah.
they are not in a state of service. They've been taught to
Hmm.
be served, and that's how they've been kept out of their power, because their power is
Yes.
through their service.
Oh my gosh, that is
Boom,
how
that
they
was big.
grow.
Woo, my whole heart
Wow.
was woo.
Thank
Yep.
you, Brandy. When they breathe with the proper breath, when they
Mm-hmm.
fill themselves with her breath, they become huge and unstoppable and
And
in compassion, held together with everyone else. When they go their own way and fracture themselves and breathe the breath and believe the words of shadow of these
you
false
know why they're so
entitlement
fractured
promises.
is because they've
Mm.
been trying to get back to her. They've been
Yeah.
because to be in opposition of her is so against their natural state of
Mm.
being. Right? To be in opposition is so against their natural state of being. And which is why they
Yeah.
do all the crazy, weird, crazy stuff that they do,
Yeah.
including
Hmm.
the things, all the
All
things
the things we all know.
are trying to get back
Mm.
to her. That's the darkness too. All the darkness is doing.
Hmm.
The reason it's parasitic, the reason that it's trying to siphon the light, the reason is
Yeah.
because everything is trying to get back to her.
Hmm.
Everything. That's what all of it is about. Which is the craziest
Hmm.
thing to really, really let yourself realize is that all of it, all the darkness, all the horrible suffering and pain and blah 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 has been in an attempt to get back to her, to remember our truth.
She is magnetic and she holds the pattern. Wanting to talk about so there's a few things I want to talk about. And we are speaking strong because there are things we want to get clear. But let us be very clear about the compassion with which we work with and the
Oh,
endless service to bring everything back to immaculate condition. And we have fun and we say what we want because we're free women and no one can stop us. But we have the most beautiful hearts of compassion. And what is coming, and we can come to it at the end, is the softening. What I've been shown, what I was shown. Because I told you, I woke up screaming and roaring right, a few years ago. I've been a warrior in nearly probably every lifetime, at the front of every boat, screaming my way through the high seas. Like this has just been it, right? And I've been shown, I was asked, soften to receive. I was shown the masculine is coming back. It is coming back. This energy is coming back. It's been magnetized in, and it's like the oil coming into the machine. And we are the machine. The mother is the machine. And it is to allow this oil to come back in. And that oil, electricity, that is energy, that is money, that
yeah.
is, you know. So we'll get to that. But we need to, this is
You
amazing.
know what's interesting is you
Yeah.
you had mentioned compassion, and I had
Mm.
recently, um, because I have always been a very compassionate person, but I had let that
Mm.
part of myself go because it was so judged in the
Yeah.
environment that I grew up in, which I now realize that that was the stimulation I needed,
Yeah.
to walk with the amount of compassion that I hold.
Mm.
And I could not understand. It's the one thing that I had walked through life, saying like basically what I wanted other people to be. And I had the realization, well, if whatever, and I will say this to everybody, whatever you think somebody else should be, or what you think humanity should be, or what you think this universe should be, that is what you're supposed to embody. And I
Beautiful.
realized that there were places in me that were holding resentment for particular things where I was
Hmm.
lacking compassion. And I was waiting for other people to be compassionate instead of allowing myself to fully embody my compassionate nature. So
Mm.
if I came here to be compassion, I'm a part of her heart. That's what she told me. I'm her heart walking this
Mm.
earth. And she is nothing but unconditional compassion, unwavering love.
Mm. That's gorgeous. That's beautiful.
And
Compassion is the
compassion's
intelligence.
yeah, well, it's the
Mm.
cure. It's the cure. It's the thing that's
Hmm.
going to return us all to wholeness. Our compassion for
Yeah.
self, our compassion for other, the
Hmm.
understanding that we're all in this together, that
Hmm.
everybody's been in suffering. Well, shit, everybody's been in suffering. Well, let's return to wholeness
It
together.
like it lets us breathe. It just softens and lets us breathe.
Yeah.
And the compassion is the understanding that we're all one. And like Brandy said, we're not going anywhere without each other. You know, um, that's different to empathy. It doesn't mean you have to get your heart kicked
Well,
around.
this is a good one because
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
empathy is actually where we're taking on other people's energy,
Mm-hmm.
trying to make ourselves relatable to them. And so we're doing it
Yes.
out of fear. It's not natural. Empathy is not natural.
Mm-hmm.
Compassion is natural.
Yeah.
Compassion is I see you. I'm here for you. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to take your energy into me and match your energy before where you are. And that's what we call
Mm-hmm.
those, what are they called? Suffering bonds or something. The word escapes me right
Gosh.
now.
Good. Let it
Uh,
off.
trauma bonds. Boom. That's what the word
Oh,
is. That's
yeah.
where people have trauma bonds. We're trying to match each other's energy.
Mm.
And that's what being an empathetic person makes you. It makes you match
Mm.
energy. You're not here to match energy. You're here to embody your truth, your soul's energy. So to be empathetic
Mm.
is to match everybody else's energy. You're here not to match energy, but to stand firmly in your energy and let the people around you raise to it.
Yes. Pillar of Mother has spoken. And it is that because if you
It's that.
notice, the empath and the predator go hand in hand.
Mhm.
So that
They
is
have the
a
same
fallen
wounds.
frequency. It's a fallen
Same wounds.
frequency. Yeah. If you're in empathy, you are being fed from, but you're also feeding. Like that's the
Exactly.
truth. Compassion is the one breath.
It's
One
yeah.
breath. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. I want to talk about the black womb. I want us to talk about so in our stasis, using our power, our generating power. There's the womb is a the solar plexus is a magnetic generator, right? And the
Yeah.
womb is the sound emanator. I don't know the perfect words, but in our absence, but still using
Well,
our
let's see.
form.
The womb is the template. It holds the template. It holds the sound frequency of the beginning.
Mm. Okay, beautiful. And in our absence, but still using our form, there was, if people want to call it the machine, people call it the beast machine, people call it the Baphomet mother, the black mother, the dark mother. I won't say black, but the
The
dark mother,
Matrix.
the matrix. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was built. So the mother is the machine, as in mother produces. Mother
Yeah.
produces. A machine is what produces. That machine that people have been up against and tied to and enslaved by is a false mother that was, please, I want this to be felt, the injury in order to create that, the hijacking, the parasiting,
The
the
false
absolute
father had to
desecration
have
of
look the
us.
false yeah
Mm,
the false father had to have a false servant.
yes. Oh,
So
that's like a punch in the guts.
yeah. So
Mm,
that was the creation right there. We build
mm.
this false governing,
Archon.
jealous, yeah, archon, basically,
Mm,
yeah. Um, I mean, in truth, the shadow dragon that created that, there was a purpose, there was a point to it, whatever, but we're past that. All the things that were built upon it, those things are now coming apart. But that black
mm,
womb matrix, and I call it a black womb matrix because um, it literally was programmed into our womb spaces.
mm.
And so there's been lots of women all over the world dismantling that for years.
Yeah.
And what I was shown at the beginning of August or September, I don't remember, maybe it was July, but I remember I messaged you and told you what I had seen. And what they showed me was the representation of the black womb being this huge black widow spider. And each one
Mm,
of us being like this golden cog that was like had this screw into it. And we all were all screwed into this black widow spider. We got into a position where we were all screwed into it. And then once we had got in far enough, then it was like each point of the cog screws came together, and then the whole thing just turned golden, and that was the end of that black womb matrix.
I remember
And
that. Mm,
yeah, and so that has been the collapsing of all the timelines, because multiple
mhm.
timelines are just a way that they fractured our consciousness to keep us siphoning our energy from us. And so
Yeah.
it's like we were set up, humanity, men and women, were set
Mhm.
up to feed these dark beings that don't have light of their own. So they've been
Mhm.
feeding off of our guilt and our shame, um, and our trauma. And the
Mhm.
reason for that is because our energy fields, when we're in heightened states of anger and suffering, our adrenal glands pump out more energy, and they're able to siphon that energy from us. So
Excuse
I
me.
will go as far as to saying, to let everybody know, everybody has had an attachment. There has been a parasitic
Mhm.
attachment and attachments on so many people because they attach to our wounds.
Mhm.
They were attached to our trauma. And that's why when you're poked in a certain way, you
Mhm.
know, that anger comes up first, because that's,
Yeah.
and they feed off of that.
Mm.
And so
Yeah.
there's so much that goes into this.
Mhm. They feeding off disgruntled emotion, any
Mm-hmm,
ability to create that separation, that imbalance, that taking
mm-hmm.
us outside of equanimity, that is not the same as rising power. And this is
Yeah,
what I want people to feel from me and Brandy, because we are two very powerful women who enjoy ourselves and who speak freely. And we want this for every man and woman and child. It is a rising
everybody.
power of like innocent voice. That's not, we're in pure equanimity as we're speaking, right? We're feeling great. It's this rising. So, okay. So we all took down the black room. I just want to, or the shadow room. I want to say, because I just want this felt, because there's an absence of women speaking, coming outside the other side of this and saying how what that took. I want to give voice and deep love and gratitude and compassion for the women who lost their wombs over the years, right? For the women who lost their children, for the and these what I'm saying about this, we can look at it like it's a loads of misfortunate events. It was not. It was a frequency of attack on humanity,
Yeah.
and the place of a woman's power is her womb. So the place of attack was the womb. So I want to give so much love to the women who have been suffered, separated from children, and all the different ailments of the womb that have actually happened because of this frequency attack. And I want to give so much props and pride and just amazing honor to what we actually did. We saw this thing,
Just with
this
our periods
parasite.
alone, like
Yes, the pain
the
of that.
clearings that we were doing just with with
Mm,
our periods. I mean,
yeah.
if you the way I surrendered into it, it was just like I mean,
Mm.
there were times, weeks, like there was one time when I bled for like 2 months, and but I
And that
understood
was
what
you
was happening.
clearing, like
Hmm.
purifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I've heard that as well. Um, I've heard that from other women too, almost like hemorrhaging. So this is very real, and this is what gets us when there's this, like there's a bypassing type of spirituality that completely bypasses the body, therefore it completely bypasses women, because everything is very personal for women, because
Hmm.
the basin where it all ends up, if you think you've dropped it and you're flying high, it's in the womb,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean. And now the womb is not accepting any karma; it's immaculate. But what we had to go through to clear out what was dumped into
Yeah.
the womb, into the soil, into the water from all of the bloodshed. Of course, everyone was under the same frequency attack. That is why the wars were done, to generate this terrorized blood, which then could be used to the frequency of which could feed this beast machine. So the rising of the frequency, the purifying of the frequency, has allowed us women to look at what was inside us, this parasitic system, and somehow love it back to gold. What?
Yeah.
We did it, but it's all a blur. I don't know,
Yeah.
Brandi. We did it, and there
Yeah.
were so many women just like messaging each other, and or you could just feel them, and we're all like
Yeah.
taking down the black, the Black Widow. But it's
And a lot
actually
of people
through
didn't even know
love.
what they were doing. There's so many people that
Yeah,
had no conscious awareness at
yeah,
all of what they were doing, just
yeah,
that they were experiencing this extreme pain and had no idea of what was happening, right?
yeah, yeah,
And so, I mean, it's been done. Right now,
yeah.
we in the last months have been in this process of um, really taking down all the timelines that were created from it from within, because
Hmm.
those are fractured aspects of self. And so it's kind of
Okay, let's
like,
talk about that. Timelines.
oh yeah, timelines, that
Hmm.
was all part of that black womb matrix system. We don't have
Hmm.
multiple timelines. There's
I
original
agree.
creation timeline.
Hmm.
That original creation timeline we just discovered as we were talking about it more is from the beginning. That's the mother's
Hmm.
original creation. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't want to call it a timeline, continuum,
Continuum. Yeah,
the
I
original
agree.
mother's creational
Hmm.
continuum. And all those timelines were meant to fracture us so that we could be siphoned. So
Hmm.
they did this, like what we would call the shadow government, or the aliens that were doing the stuff, is that
Hmm.
they kept trying to creating different timelines to keep parts of ourselves fractured. And the more
Mm.
that you heal, you have collapsed those timelines, because when you come into wholeness, you're collapsing those stuff. We cannot come into wholeness with a bunch of fucking timelines. It's just like
It's
believing
a
that the earth
mess.
is going to split in two. The earth is not splitting in two. That's one big
Hmm.
mic drop I'm about to hit everybody with.
Hmm.
The earth is not splitting with two. Everybody's
Hmm.
ascending. Everybody.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be left behind.
Mm.
Why, if we're returning to wholeness, would the earth split in two? That doesn't even make sense. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No,
I'm
that's
not meaning to
beautiful.
insult anybody or anything
No,
like that,
say
but
it.
let's
Speak
think about
free.
this. Yeah,
Speak
it's like
free.
it's not.
Speak
We're
free.
all ascending. There's
Mm.
and with this 3D, 5D, 4D, okay, that's wonderful. That's
We
great.
don't
There are
recognize dimensions.
I
We are the
just
birthing channel, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
I it's no, it's love or it's not. It's
Hmm.
love or it's not. You're going to have access to everything that your soul wants to experience within this
Hmm.
universe, and it came for this time. It came for the ascension of this universe that is happening
Hmm.
now. But like I said, you have to be willing to let go of what you once knew as truth, or something you had to convince yourself of that somebody else told you.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother story, because we've had so many channels and so many people that are supposed to be spiritual that have really
Hmm.
been feeding the parasitic, that black womb matrix, that have been
Hmm.
controlled by beings that are not of the light. They're what people call the
Yeah.
false light, that have been
Hmm.
distracting us from getting to the true truth.
Yeah. Yes. All sorts of names pop up of supposed guides or whatever, and I just go
But
by
they serve it. Let me
vibration.
look, but I
Mm.
don't want to dismiss them, because I want you to, they are serving a purpose. They are playing a
Hmm.
role. And I asked
Yeah.
about this because I've actually given my power to some of these people before.
Hmm.
As I asked, well, what's going to happen? They said, well, when they're done playing this role that they needed to play
Hmm.
for many people, then they're going to return to their truth.
Oh, wonderful.
So
That's
they're
wonderful to
playing a
know.
role. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all love. It's all love.
Mm.
And any darkness we see is a role that love is playing for
Mm.
the experience that we wanted to have in polarity and
Yeah.
duality.
That's beautiful. What I'm feeling now is just this call to increase my vibration, intensify my magnetic vibration, and to allow people to find me, and that's where I'm feeling now, because I'm feeling those that emerge with these crystal hearts, with the light in their eyes, who want to come together. Um, and I'm feeling this sapphire frequency, which is the frequency that coheses. I am feeling these, all of us gathering this way to create. Now, I
Mhm.
do not exclude that everyone will come in the end, but in the purposes of creation, I am emanating, and then who comes to me on that frequency of love with a crystal heart, who's chosen to bring their heart to crystal, because that takes some doing to resurrect
Mhm.
your internal crystalline architecture. That takes a lot of choices. It's a decision after decision, initiation after initiation. So I cannot co-create with fallen frequency. I'm not
Yeah.
able to do that, but I continue
Well,
to
we
emanate who I am and hope everyone rises. I continue to invite. Yeah.
Yeah, so when we at the beginning of when it was like September that it really started happening, where she was bringing us into her pattern, and all of
Mm-hmm.
there's so many people, like I had to let go of multiple groups that I was a part of. I had to release a lot of people, even like I couldn't even tolerate watching people that I used to once love, but their
Mm-hmm.
words just weren't resonating anymore. And I
Yeah.
and it was her. She was fine tuning me, and I realized that anything that I was giving power to or had any outside influence over me, she was
Mm-hmm.
stripping down, taking away. And talk about
Yeah.
outside influence. Let's talk about the moon. Let's
Let's
talk
talk
about
about the moon.
the
Okay, let's
moon
go for
that
the
is
moon.
not a natural
Yeah.
object. It is not
Yeah.
naturally a part of this solar system.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a part of Earth.
She didn't make it. That's what. Oh, that's
No,
all you
she
need to
didn't
know.
make
She
it.
didn't make it. She doesn't like it in her soup.
No,
There's a
she does
fly in my
not.
soup.
Earth does
There's a
not.
moon in my water. Yeah. Get this out
Yes.
of here. Yeah.
And it was a part of
The
the, oh,
irritant.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead. No,
No,
no, go
that's it.
ahead.
It's an irritant. And let's talk about the moon.
Okay. So the moon was a part of the black
Mm,
moon matrix.
mm,
It was, and what they did is that it's kind of like the Earth has her own magnetics, and
mm,
originally the angelic human was tied to her, like our wombs were tied to her womb, which is her magnetic force. So our
yeah.
wombs are magnetic forces.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, what they did was is they brought a machine that they trained
Mm-hmm.
at a frequency to
Mm-hmm.
take us out of our natural magnetics, which were connected to Mother Earth, and
Mm-hmm.
hijack her waters through through frequency so that they can
Mm-hmm.
control the information, because water carries all the information from the beginning. So
Yeah.
water carries the truth from the very beginning. All water is connected to the water, to the womb waters of the mother from the beginning, which is why I've done
Mm-hmm.
a lot of work clearing the our
Mm-hmm.
creational waters here on the planet, within myself, within Gaia, for our human collective. Um, so they needed control over that, so they could pump false frequencies into us. They could pump programming into us, false frequency programs. They introduced the dark feminine, which is not true. There is no darkness in the mother. She is the light. She is the solar. Um,
Yay!
she is the solar
Say it.
queen. She's the solar queen. She's the solar queen. Now,
Oh.
and think about this, for because I was very connect I was, you know what, when I think about it, I wasn't that connected to the moon, but I was a Cancer, right? I was born in July. They, in astrology, they call that a Cancer. It says it's ruled by the moon, blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing that I let go, is any association to allowing planets to have any influence over me also.
Mm-hmm.
So what they took me through was, with the moon, is that I got this huge download about how the moon wasn't real, how it was actually solar powered. And that's why people start acting up when the moon, we call it a full moon, but really it's just when it's the sun is hitting the spaceship at a certain at a certain way. It's solar powered, so it magnifies all the
Mm-hmm.
frequencies it's putting out, which is driving people crazy. And that's why so
Playing
much
with your
stuff happens on the full moon.
parasites. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's solar powered. It's a solar powered
Yeah.
vessel.
Mhm. And it's running the
There's
frequency of parasite, disease, discord,
hmm
mental illness, all
all
of
of
the
that,
things,
all
all
of
of it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hormonal interference, all of the
everything.
things. Yeah. Yeah.
Connected to our nervous systems. So what they took
Mm-hmm.
me through was a process of completely unraveling my nervous
Mm.
system from the moon. So I went
Yeah.
through a whole like 2 week process of them unraveling my nervous system, unraveling my cells, clearing my waters of my body from
Mm-hmm.
any influence over from the moon. And
Yeah. Beautiful.
I completely cut that out. I seen it for what it was. I said, okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, done with this. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have nothing has influence over me. This is what I said.
Yeah.
Nothing will have influence over me. That's when
Mm-hmm.
I went through. Okay, no zodiac stuff like that. I'm done with that too. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Everything serves until it doesn't serve, and
Yes.
it's about us coming into our true power, and our true
Yeah.
power, our true sovereignty is nothing has influence over me. The only thing I'm influenced by is the mother. She's the only
Mm.
thing that has influence over me. I will not
Yeah.
allow anything else at this point where I am in my journey. Nothing else will. And if it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
resonate with her, it doesn't resonate with me.
Mm.
And now, through her frequency and through all the clearing that we've experienced, returning, being fine tuned by her beautiful song, it's
Yeah.
so clear to me when things don't resonate. It's like I
Incredible.
remember we had done a little thing, and then like somebody
Mm.
in the group was had some
Mm.
things attached to her that were clawing at people's energy, and it literally felt
Mm.
like they were ripping at my energy field, and it was
Mm.
just so uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what happens. We get very precise within our own
Yeah.
frequency,
Mm-hmm.
um, that
And I
it's
am not
so
allowed.
obvious.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not allowed co-create with fallen frequency. I'm
yeah.
not allowed. So I want to show that's not me judging people. I love
No, no
every.
judgment at all. I have
Yeah,
nothing but
of
compassion.
course. And
Like,
the love that we have is actually ridiculous. The compassion we have is almost insane. But we have rules.
yeah,
We have
I
rules,
know.
and we don't answer. We answer
Well,
to
I've
the
had to learn
mother.
boundaries, right? A lot of
Yeah.
boundaries in the
But we
last
help
year
each
for me
other.
to,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I want to show my ring. I want to show the aquiline sun, right? This represents for me the aquiline sun of Andromeda. I want to just second everything you said on the moon,
You know what?
basically.
I just noticed that that's six-sided, Mary. And remember what we
Oh,
just experienced.
oh, wow.
It is.
Look
Yep.
at that.
Yep.
Oh, there you go. So I just want to give a quick add on to Brandy's about
hmm
the moon. So this is about attunement, or what the way of ascension is attunement. Brandy has already stated that the pathway, the song of the way is in our DNA. So it's about coming into attunement. So people who want to hoop and holler and, say they deserve the moon, they love it, knock yourself out. There is a source sound, it is not the moon. There is a source magnetic, it is not the moon. So we tune
And when
in
you
our
release the
wonderful
moon,
antenna. Yeah.
you reconnect your womb to Gaia's original magnetics.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's how we become true creators of our reality.
Yeah. You get your sonar back, you get your your engine back. This is your magnetic engine. You are also connected to the magnetics of the sun. You can fill yourself with golden light. I want to talk about the implementation of the moon generated the enslavement of water, the enslavement of the womb, the compartmentalization of water. There is no consciousness and subconsciousness. This is nonsense, popular
Mhm.
psychology terms. There is one stream of crystalline consciousness. It comes from, this is source water, right? In my
Yes.
knowing, the aquiline sun of
Yep.
Andromeda. We have opened this. We saw it, flooding ourselves. It was absolutely gorgeous. And I want to speak to that because I saw that with you, Randy, if you remember this, trickling down your back. And it was like it was almost
Oh,
playing a
yeah.
song. That crystal stream was trickling down Brandy's like spine, playing the song to wake up the world. Do you remember that?
I
I was
do now.
that was beautiful. I was like, oh wow, what's gonna happen next? She's off. She's playing tunes. It's like, oh my gosh. Oh, the excitement, Randy. Yes. So that it's about
Wow.
attunement. You
Yeah.
choose. You choose what radio station you listen to. We know ourselves to be crystal antennas. We are not denying the physical reality that you can see a moon. We're not idiots. We are talking about attunement and consciousness. So you choose that. You choose that. And this is about implants in the consciousness, implants in the
Yeah.
consciousness. And our consciousness is our breath. It's always personal. There's no such thing as a consciousness outside of yourself. So if there's an implant in the consciousness, that means it's in your breath. It is everything inside you. So it has once you
I will
clear
tell
that,
you,
everything heals. Mm.
I will tell you that the one that I was guided to the sacred mushrooms,
Mm-hmm.
and um, I was guided to develop a relationship with Gaia on a different level, and I let a bunch of stuff go. This was a
Mm.
few years ago, and then all kinds of dragon stuff started showing up in my reality, and I was guided to take the mushrooms. And
Mm.
on this beautiful communion with the mushrooms, this sacred journey, Gaia came
Mm.
to me herself, and the first thing I became aware of was that I was a dragon within a dragon
Mm.
within a dragon, and
Ooh.
our breath was connected. I was completely connected to the beginning. And I didn't at the time understand what was happening or what was happening because Gaia she was waking me up. Like I had this
Mm.
experience where she was like stretching my whole body to make room for my dragon body embodiment.
Mm.
And she's chanting this song, Sacred
Mm.
Dragon Mother, remember who you are, sacred dragon mother. Sacred dragon mother, remember who
Remember
you
who
are.
you are,
Oh, sacred dragon mother. And she
mother.
kept, and it was like 10 hours of her chanting and doing all this light language
Wow.
and removing all this stuff from me. It was amazing. And it took 2 weeks to integrate that because I was like, I'm fucking crazy. How am I a dragon? Like, like
You just
what
like
is
ring
happening?
the crazy hotline. It's Mary. Mary? No, no, you're not crazy. Perfectly normal.
But the breath, that was the first thing that I is that my breath was connected to Gaia's breath. It was connected to the mother's
Yes.
breath. And
Um,
that dragon energy, that I mean, at the beginning, there is no form, but it is dragon. The first form of all creation is dragon. And I think that's
mm,
important for everyone to know. The first
mm,
form of all creation is dragon. That's the first form that came together. And all is born of her. And we could look at the mother as a massive, she is the dragon.
mm,
And every form that came after that was the birthing through the dragon. So technically, every being within
mm.
is a dragon. Technically.
Ooh. Just an adapted dragon with
Yeah, it
different
would
bits and
in different
pieces.
forms.
Yeah. Oh my God, that breath. So this is, I want to give some word on this. So I was mute for most of my life. I could speak, I just chose not to. I did not want to speak the occupier's tongue. I was not going to bind myself any further. I also, the way I wouldn't define myself, I realize it now because I'm such an old romantic. I was waiting to be beheld. I was not like it within myself, but I didn't have it. I didn't have a masculine, and I wasn't going to take on this and of course I tried that, but there was so much irritation in my body to have any kind of like occupational masculine consciousness within me. And it's a consciousness, not blaming men, but they were there. But it's this occupational masculine consciousness inside me that was like, squishing me down and like, making me behave. And it was all me. Um, but I never could embrace that. And I was waiting to be beheld as a whole.
Yeah.
And that is the feminine urge, isn't it? To be actually seen in a way that brings freedom, infinite freedom. We don't want to be seen as, oh, well, she's pretty good at cooking, or she's pretty hot, or I'll have her for this. And this fracture of the feminine, of the mother, of woman, of the body of Sophia, of where a daughter can be. a prey to a predator. A mother can be the cook for the same predator, and a grandmother can be, a friendly grandmother, a counsel for the exact same predator. No. When the beholder looks in the eyes of any of us now, and this is an internal correction, a reconciliation of the eye, the internal eye of beloved and beholder. They will see every single one of us looking back. That fractured eye is what do they say? The speck of the eye is gone. It's leaving us because it is such an aggressor onto the feminine. It cannot be. And this is the thing. It is only when you are the beloved, you know how you're beheld. Other
And you
men
don't
do not
accept less.
know.
You will not
Other,
accept less.
yeah,
This is what
yeah,
I've
but
learned
other men
embodying.
do not know how women are looked at. Other
Hmm.
men do not know how men look at women
Yeah.
and what the woman or the girl perceives, the level of threat or whatever, or evasion or goodness, of course.
Well, I will tell you this, and the reason that they don't want to see is because of the jealousy that ended up being implemented and implanted into them towards
Hmm
the master creational energy, the force, the magnetic force, the woman, the womb
My
man.
hmm my
Yeah.
son, who's 12 years of age, I explained to him, he's 13, I explained to him, oh, I just want to let you know this is what I've been told and I want to run it by you, that there was mother dragons who gave birth to creation. And he said that makes sense. I said, why? He said that explains why everything's a mess because the men were jealous. That's what he said. This is the same boy who said to me, we need to get a flag up on that moon. I said, why? The age of 7, we need to get a flag on that moon. An Irish flag. I said, why? Whoever controls the moon controls the world. He said to me. Yeah, at the age, he's just like burst in
Dropping
the door.
bombs
Yeah, he's just like, there you go. And that was my job then. I had to go and free us all from the moon. But he's my boss. Right? He just came in and said it. And I'm like, somewhere
oh,
inside my body, it woke me up and like, let me, and a few years later, then we did sort out the moon. I want to talk about two more things, Brandy, and if you want to speak on more, absolutely. But the
yeah.
clock, the DNA, and Father Earth. I want to speak about the Father Earth because we spoke about the false father, this archon father that pushes down always, pushes down and preys upon and fractures the body of one. I say Sophia. Um, and I want to talk about the rising Father Earth because all power
Which comes
rises.
up. Yeah, which
And
that
this is what we're
energy comes
calling
up.
for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't get we want the Father, like we want the Father, but we have
I
never acquiesced to the Archon.
yeah, let's
Never.
just say the way that the mother viewed the divine masculine after she through the birth and the birthing process, there is no greater love.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
it's
no greater
beautiful.
love.
Hmm
So I'm coming from that place. I'm
Me
just
too. Hmm
coming from the place of truth and
Yes. Yeah.
dismantling all the things that have been getting in the way of truth.
hmm
Um, because that's what's important. I mean, it could be no other
hmm
way. I'm of her and
Yeah.
from her. I
And you
can't.
and you say truth is love. So as the Archon Father, um, the creator of the Black Sun, the creator of the Legion of the Shadow Dragons, the creator of that Baphomet machine womb situation, as that is
I mean, but we just
that
witnessed
has been
him come
rebirthed.
together.
Yep,
Yeah,
he's
we
been
just
rebirthed
witnessed
into
it.
the sun. Yeah,
We just literally witnessed this.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that Black Sun, that Black Father, let's say,
that shadow.
is the eye, is the pupil of the eye of the mother. Or like the magnetic,
Hmm.
the crystal song, the golden magnetic, the mother's magnetic, the mother's song is the surround of the clock, the continuum. And that eye that sees her is the father's pulse of time. And that
Yes,
has been turned to gold.
yes.
Yeah.
Fully today, fully today,
Fully.
fully.
We can
It's been
affirm.
happening a little bit, but like
Yeah.
full, but yeah.
But we
But we
have
should talk
full
about
on
that for a second.
confirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
let's talk about that one. Like we have means and ways, people, of making sure
um
we talk about it and we make sure it happens.
yeah,
Thank
so that beautiful golden energy that was that birthed through us, and it
you.
literally came through us and
Mm,
lit the golden mother dragon that's been the container for this universe, lit
mm,
her up, and in her coming into her full power, it empowered, that energy started flowing into this shadow dragon that
mm,
was playing the role of opposite, playing the role of duality and polarity. And once it came into power, its whole eye just like was just like gold. It could see her again. And it's
yeah,
like, yeah,
yeah.
it was like this veil between
Mm,
them. And
lifted,
she,
dissolved.
yeah, lifted and dissolved. And he
Mm,
wrapped his huge, massive wings around her, creating this container around her.
yeah.
And just seeing her once again with complete reverence, that shadow, that
Mm,
thorn removed from his eye. Um, that shit,
mm.
that was so amazing. That
That was
like
that will be felt. That will
it
be
will be
known.
felt.
This is
How could
the,
it not? I'm like,
that is the rebirth. That is the rebirth of an eternal creational principle that every one of us knows, every one of us has been yearning for, and some of us actively searching for. This is
because
the reconciled eye of the beloved and the beholder, of the
mhm,
song, the rhythm, and the pulse of time, of the dream and the actualization, of the tone of our golden age and the beginning of time. It
yeah,
is the beholding that begins time. And that beholding, that channel of that within us is the pulse, is the pulse, the heartbeat, the pulse in the blood. So we
calling us
are
home,
eh, we are in
calling
attunement
us
with this
home.
now. This is our
Yes.
next alignment. This is our next alignment and attunement for everybody.
Yeah, and then they showed me that what me and Mary had just done is that we were sitting in the eye of, like, if you cut the DNA like in half and looked at it, like
Mm,
the round aspect of it, we were withheld within it, and then we had the council of the dragon mothers, which are the womb dragons of the divine mother,
mm,
around us, and then we had the 12 crystalline grandmothers representing our
mm.
DNA. And that golden divine masculine was coming through our DNA. So I'm really interested in how this affects, like,
It's
dare I
so
say,
beautiful.
humanity. Like, what
It
had
will
just happened? Like, what?
100%, Brandy. 100%. And the question came to me today. The eternal question is, can we look into each other's eyes? And the answer, Brandy, is yes, because we have the
Yes.
one eye. And what I want to say when I'm speaking I'm introducing myself and Brandy here. I'm introducing Brandy and I, and I'm letting it be known that us and other women like us, because of our consciousness of the womb, which is inherent. This is something we
Our
were born
connection
with.
to the beginning. Yeah.
Our connection to the beginning, our eternal breath from the beginning till now, which is our presence. We have a presence at the beginning, and the womb is the surround of everything within creation. We can receive what is within our water, which is everything, and we can rebirth it to immaculate perfection. So this, and then that correction is offered, the vibration of that correction is offered, and through water, and things move pretty fast through water. It is offered through everyone's water to and it channels through the body's water, and it becomes a memory, and it becomes what we know, what humanity now remembers. It's all about returning to, what did you say? The resurrection of our innocence, the angelic human blueprint. If you want to
Yes.
speak on that.
Yes. So
Mm,
what I have experienced, so everything that I talk about is everything that I share is through my lived experience of it, through my feeling of it, through the deep initiations that I've been taken through. Um, so everything is through my lived experience. And what I have seen is that the human being, like I said, is so vitally important to the ascension of this universe because held within the human being's being were the codes of original creation. And right now, what we're experiencing is what people call that 12-strand DNA activation, or what people think, or people calling going into fifth dimensional consciousness and all of that. That is just the restoration of our own DNA coming back online, restoring, coming into wholeness.
Mm.
And so that's the experience of ascension. And the human body is directly tied to the ascension of this universe. Um, so we all came here for this. We came to
Yeah.
this universe. Every last being that is occupying this universe came for this time. We used this universe. We experienced all the shit we wanted to experience, all the separation from our mother, all the lack and limitation that we wanted to experience for the expansion of the totality of everything, which is why we did it for in the first place. But we're done with that. Now is the time to
Mm-hmm.
return to wholeness and experience this universe in its wholeness. Um, and yeah, so that's where we're at. That's
That's
like
beautiful.
that's
And to
where we're at.
speak, because there are people speaking of, and I've heard this, and every time I can't feel it, of, the forsakenness or the fallenness of humanity. Now, what I want to speak about, angelic
Of course, they
humanity.
convinced you
Mhm.
that you
It's
were
horrible.
less than
Yeah.
so that you could
Yeah.
give them all your power, so that you
Mm-hmm.
thought you were incapable and you could give them your power.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're done with
I,
that. Humanity is
yeah.
time to wake up.
I see angelic humanity. I feel them now. I see the jewels. I know that the heart is the jewel of the human. I know that the earth is the jewel of the universe. And we are somehow this center point for the harmonics of creation. And that we are adored. And what I
Yeah,
see with the angelic humans is that, like, um they haven't fallen. It's like they just went quiet. There's certain people, and I have them in my family, they never corrupted, actually. They never corrupted. Now, of course, things were done with the DNA and things were done to mess with us. But there is a caliber of people on this earth that have chosen poverty instead of corruption, or have chosen isolation instead of, even like knowing that there's something inside them that is a harm to others. They've isolated themselves. So w there's such nobility in humanity that we have been stricken with this false frequency that creates mental
mhm.
illness, disease, disordered thinking,
Unworthiness.
self-hatred. Yeah, that
Yeah,
these people have actually tried to protect each other from that, but in that have remained dormant and isolated.
docile and complacent.
They haven't enacted, they haven't taken what they were and, made, found their way to win the world.
They
Now,
will,
there's other people that are deeply protected. They have been able to move through the world uncorrupted also.
but they will because everybody's returning to wholeness.
Yeah. Yeah. I
This
just want
is
to give that to the
everybody's.
people who, yeah, to
Yeah.
who look so unsuccessful or who look
Hmm.
so outside of things. I just want to give so much love to those people because I know those people, some, and I feel the hearts, and it is your heart that is red,
But
or
when we speak of
EAD.
right, like equanimity, right? What is that? There are going to be some of us that are meant to take care of let me just say this, every
Mm-hmm.
need is going to be met.
Mm,
We're returning to wholeness. Every
mm-hmm.
provision is going to be met, and we're going to meet each other's needs in ways that we've been craving,
Mm-hmm.
that we've been trying to get back to, that we've been trying to be, because our true nature is service.
Yeah.
Free will is a joke. Our true nature
Yes.
is to be of service. And when we're not of service, we are outside of our own divine masculine and we are outside of the realm of God, of our
We're
mother.
outside of compassion.
We're
Yeah, we're outside
outside
of
of it,
compassion. We're outside
outside
of
of
light.
compassion,
We
outside of
forsake
love.
ourselves. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We place ourselves in a forsaken from ourselves, in a place where we are stealing breath to stay alive, as opposed to being within the abundant, eternal breath of the mother, you know? So that is the
And in
correction of the
her
masculine.
abundance, we embody her unwavering love. In her
Yeah.
abundance, we
Yes.
in we embody her unconditional compassion. In her abundance,
Mhm.
we embody her infinite wisdom. In her abundance, we embody her ineffable grace. And in her
Mhm.
abundance, we embody her unfathomable,
Mhm.
unlimited miracles. And that is where we
Yes.
are, and that is what we will embody.
Hmm. This is the time of the
Held, carried
miracle.
by her.
Hmm.
Yes.
Miracle,
Yes.
grace, allowance, consequence, balancing, everything. The water is free, and all creational energies are in the water, and they are all finding their way back in. So the fire, the earth, the air, all of the earthiness of us that was stagnant, that was depressed, that was heavy, all of the fire in us that was self-defense, resentment, rage, whatever. The too much water in us. I had a water imbalance. I have had a lot of mucus. And, so all these different things are finding balance now because of this balancing of the breath of
Mm.
this, this mother and child, which is
This return
also
of the
mo
mother.
mother and
It's the
son, which is
return.
also somehow mother and father. It's the whole lot.
It's the return of the mother.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
here, imbuing
Mhm.
everything to her truth.
Yeah.
That's it's happening. I mean, they
Mm.
can, they're all, and none of it matters. All the effort, all the last ditch efforts, the quote
Mm.
unquote darkness or whatever, none of that matters. She's here now.
Mhm. Yes,
None of it
yes.
matters. We're going to see
Mhm.
things collapse and things that we would have never even been able to comprehend take place in her miracles. And I know this
Mhm.
in my heart. I feel it.
Me too.
I can feel her moving through everything, through this whole universe in such a
Mhm.
profound way.
I
Um,
hear you. Grace is the stealth that can move mountains, that can move things considered unmovable. And
and
we
when
that we are in that. Hmm.
and when humanity realizes that it is its mother's child.
Hmm.
That's it
Yes.
right there. It
That's
is
when
its
you
mother's child.
grace comes for you and
Mhm.
you receive mother's allowance. You can only receive mother's allowance when you place yourself in the
In
position of grace, which is on her
of
lap,
being carried. Yeah,
her
it's on it
child.
exactly.
Yeah,
It being
yeah,
carried. You're
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
she's teaching
And
me
then
that right now. Yeah.
you receive her allowance, which is everything you need for this, for what you are, for who you are. So you receive things you don't maybe don't even know is what you need, you know what I mean? But it's what you need. And we
Because
need joy,
yeah.
expansion. Yeah. Mm.
Well, now, well, we were moving from duality, which was creating and expanding in a dualistic way, and
Hmm.
but now we're moving into creatively expanding in a whole way. So this is
Yeah.
serving the totality of creation. What's
Hmm.
happening, what's happened in this universe, what's happened here on this earth, what like it is serving the totality of the universe and us returning to our wholeness, which is why we're here, because we come when she says enough. Everything that could
Yeah.
possibly learn can be learned. Now it's time to come back into original pattern, into original
Hmm.
template. And because we've done this in multiple universes, we've
Yeah.
done this in multiple universes.
Yeah.
When the program, when the
Mm.
experiment had completed, no, now
Yeah.
it's time to return to wholeness. So I'm not going to call in my big dogs. I'm going to call in those that I know that have the capacity to hold what's hard for those that are coming up or can't. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, of
got
course.
confused there.
I
Yeah.
know about
Yeah.
capacity.
Yeah,
We
so
know.
we have the capacity, right?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
returning this we have the capacity to look the darkest of the dark in the eye and see that all it's craving is the return
Hmm.
to the light,
Yeah.
and allowing ourselves to be the portal to which that can happen, because we're from the beginning.
Yeah.
And that level of compassion
Hmm.
is what's needed, which is what's bringing us all home. And
Yeah.
but we're here
And
to embody.
we have walked through that, right? We have interfaced with those very dark occupational forces, and we have, like you said, offered them a direct channel to the mother. And
And when you can
you know,
see them as love and they were only playing the role for love,
yeah,
then they were
hmm
love all along. And
yeah.
that's the biggest thing that is gonna, at first it's like, what? But they're like,
Pardon
no,
me?
it was just a role. It was just a
Yeah,
role. And so
yeah.
if it was just a role, then it was love the whole time. Mm.
That one's gonna take a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
That's gonna
Yeah.
take a minute. Yes, it's releasing the judgment of, because judgment, when you say we're moving out of duality, yes, I say it like we're moving out of war, and war
Hmm.
is like
Yeah.
the war
War
of
is a
but
representation of it. Yeah.
yeah, it's in the breath. And this is why it's down to earth, because the breath covers the universe. Like I said, we are of the first breath. So when we bring the breath to harmony and equanimity between all of the dualities, whatever, that
Yeah.
that brings the whole universe, like you said, into correct pattern, into that one pattern of the breath. And I see it like a big rose, into this living, breathing body of
Mm.
correct pattern and accountability. And accountability, like the way you and I have always had, it's like there's just things that don't work and we know it. That's how it will be for everyone. So we
Yeah.
have never kind of jumped on the free will bandwagon. You know what I'm trying to say? Because we just
Yeah.
knew. So it's not like a restrictive, this ending of free will. It is being in attunement with the pure, immaculate symphony of Mother, the eternal symphony of
And her
creation.
divine will. Yeah.
Yeah. And channel, and by our choice in the heart, we get to actualize her. We get to architect for her, and the sound that's coming through, just to say this as well about using our voice correctly. We have source sound. We can heal our bodies with our voices. We can change matter, physical matter. We can change the configuration of matter with our voices. To use that, I challenge people to just do it all the time. Every night before I go to bed, I'm talking to myself, and just just do it. Override the voice that's like whatever, and just like use the voice, connect with the voice, and it's in the body. The voice of your formation, the sound that formed you, can reform you all the time. We are to use our mother's tongue. We are to use our mother's tongue. Yeah, to heal now. Mm.
So let's say so that the
Mm.
divine masculine, the birth of the divine masculine, which is what is we're experiencing now, right?
Yes.
Um, in the totality of this universe. Um, that the voice, right? It's like the
Mm.
direction of the voice.
Yeah.
It's the direction of the tone,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
direction, right? So get to directing because now you've been imbued with your full divine masculine. Let's
Yes.
direct that beautiful, powerful
Mm.
energy of the song with the light. And
Yes.
oh yeah, that reminds me that I received a message outside of myself from my divine masculine, and
Okay.
my purest representation of my divine masculine is Anubis. And I was sent a message, and in part of the message it said he to confirm what we were talking about, because I needed some extra,
Mm.
get up on
Yeah.
there and speak your truth. Was he said, I am the light that was
Mhm.
created by the sound. And so there you
That is
go.
that is I think that's the punchline, Brandy. I think we should leave it at that sentence and let that ring out as the truth of what the masculine is in relation to the mother.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Let's leave it at that. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Brandy.
Oh, I
Thank you
love you
so
so much,
much.
sister.
Love
It's an
you.
honor to be here.
Powerful. So powerful. Oh, I can feel the ripples. Okay. just gonna press stop on our recording.